Can you read us, rubber ducky? Oh, there we go. He can hear us. He's on mute though.
I think you're muted, Donnie.
I can't see anybody.
There we go. Oh, the owl.
I have the video on.
Let me stop it and start it again.
The village of Somerset is completely black for anybody that's online right now.
Yep. Can you hear us, Donnie?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay.
We're troubleshooting the owl.
Okay.
Just turn it off and turn it back on again, I think. Tom's already laughing.
Is it on?
Where's the
Is
stuff?
it plugged in?
Oh, yeah.
Is it red?
I don't see red.
I don't see
So
anything.
it should be on.
Well, you muted and went back out, but again, there's nothing for any, there's no video feed.
What you're saying is you want to see my beautiful face, huh?
Well, if you're that close to it, maybe.
Can we unplug it?
That'll probably kill all the audio, but I guess we could try it.
Well, I'm gonna do that.
Go to.
Meeting all camera right
There you
there.
go.
There we go.
Hey,
There
something's happening. There you are. Well, now that we got everything all set together, I think we can call the meeting of Public Works together at 5:32 p.m. Donnie Kernan present via Zoom. And who else is all present there today?
Randy Crone.
Caleb Yarn.
Welcome, everyone. I think we can have a, shall we stand and salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America,
To the republic which stands one nation under God.
God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. We have a agenda sitting here, and it's a rather full agenda tonight, everyone. So we'll start out first by following down through on number 2 on here, which is the October 12th, 2022 Public Work Minutes. Caleb, I'd like to welcome you aboard. And Brandon, you've had a chance both to see the minutes. Have you had a chance to review them?
Yeah, everything looks good. So Brandon Crone make a motion to approve meeting minutes for October 12th, 2022 as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to approve the minutes as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay? That motion is carried. Now we'll have public comment. We allow public comment. I believe it's 2 minutes per person. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna relinquish the chair to somebody that's in the meeting room for public comment, so that they can call on anybody that wishes to be present there. Brandon, I'd like to relinquish the chair to you for public comment, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. Anyone in the hall have any public comment on any, usually it says any public comment on any agenda item, but this one does say just public comment, so I suppose we'd have to allow comment on anything based on that, so.
Well,
based on-
pursuant to our ordinances, though, it does state in our ordinances very clearly that it's limited to agenda items only.
Right, if
So
anyone-
I would make a comment on that. So Kim Dunleap, I live on Main Street here in the village, and I really think you should change that ordinance that says public comment is only limited to agenda items, because I think it's disingenuous to your community. I think if you really want to engage with your community, you'll let your community come and talk about whatever they need to talk about. There might be sometimes it's uncomfortable for a couple of minutes, but the public comment is limited to 2 minutes. I think it would be more transparent with your community if you remove that limitation. So just, I wanted to toss that out there since that was just discussed, but then on top of that, there've been a number of comments in the community talking about signage regarding the detour or lack thereof. So I'm pretty sure that's probably on here somewhere.
Signage for businesses affected, I think there's, yeah, I'm sure that falls under there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
so I know that you're addressing it. Yeah, I wonder, you know, leading up to this construction project, if that had been part of the plan. Was that a component of the plan? Was that considered? I mean, I'm sure that you, it's Chuck, right?
Yes.
I'm sure that you've been involved in construction projects in a number of municipalities where they had to deal with a situation like this and how important it is to have that signage up even before the construction starts.
Yeah, well, I guess in this case, you know, during the public informational meetings or, you know, it was just never brought up as a topic from my end, from the village's end, from, you know, people during, you know, the public informational meetings. And so it's just kind of something that came up fairly recently, you know, and I can't speak for the businesses in town here. But, you know, I'm assuming most of the businesses are, you know, are serving local folks. Certainly signage could be added, but again, it really wasn't brought up as at a topic at any level, you know, up until recently.
Kind of missed that on the planning.
So I was explained by Andrew that it was in the plan, the DOT's plan, but it never made it into the project plan. And so when they gave their subcontractors their list, it only included a detour for the west side of the project. And from there, they scrambled to get this side up as quickly as possible.
So then the village was expecting them to take care of both of those sides, both sides, right?
Yes.
But there's businesses that are asking for additional signage besides what is up now.
And we put commercial signs up on the west side. We did add a banner on our website today
Oh, good.
to help people understand what exits to take for whichever business they wanted to go on, west or the east side of Somerset. I don't know how effective that's going to be.
Well, every little thing that you
Yeah.
can do is going to help.
Right.
And I know that Caleb was sharing last night at a meeting about how Google Maps is updated. And, you know, most people do use a app to find their way around, you know, so I'm sure that's very helpful too. But I think the point for the board, and especially because our board, there's not a lot of seasoned people on the board. So I think it's just something for the board to take note that that planning for projects, that you might have to ask more questions as you go forward. So that you're not having to deal with something after the fact, you know. You know, we can't predict the future, but more time spent on the plan makes it roll out smoother for the community.
Agreed.
2 minutes are up.
Yep.
So
Thanks, Kim.
Just a comment on that too is since 2018, we've been planning this. And we all agreed that we were going to start after school with the Churchill project and with the bridge project. And we got a call on April 6th. It said the contractor wants to start April 24th. And between that time, we were planning on having village-led meetings to have those conversations. We just didn't have the opportunity because of time. It was unfortunate and frustrating. But I said, no, we can allow our contractor to start that early. So it was trying to communicate with the schools, primarily parents of the schools, kids that are driving every day. So it was a busy 2 weeks.
And I know you're feeling the pain.
Mhm.
And my only point was to try and prevent that pain in the future. Really.
Julie, no. Thank you. Any other public comments? Anyone else?
Well, I believe this is on the agenda for today. I've been talking to Donnie a bit about a dog park in Somerset. And sorry, this is my first meeting, so I'm probably doing this.
Oh, you just gotta say your name and your address. Katie, and Jen.
I'm Katie Byboth, and I live in the town of Somerset, 1904 37th Street. Donnie invited me tonight. He said we would be talking about possible park walkthroughs and possibilities. And I was at the Somerset Champion meeting last night, and they've been doing some preliminary research on dog parks, and I'd like to offer my help. Very interested in a dog park in this area. It would be great to discuss that tonight if possible, like La Grandeur perhaps. That option is there.
Yeah,
Or
it looks
any
like
other
that's,
site.
oh, sorry to interrupt, Katie. It looks like that's item J for updates, improvements, parks, and walkthrough. So
Thank you.
if you want, we can move that item up for you, so you can discuss that right away. So you don't have to sit through the entire agenda. It almost goes to Z tonight.
Oh, shit.
He said it's easier for minutes to not jump around.
Okay. One, she's here for that.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for public comment, Connie. That's it for public comment. Donnie, I relinquish power back to you.
Thank you, sir.
No.
There being no further public comment, is anybody wishing to entertain adjusting the agenda items? It takes a motion to do business. If not, we'll continue on down through the motion,
I'll move to move item J up first.
is there a second to that?
Brandon Crone, second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to bring item J to the forefront of new business. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, so item J, that motion's passed. Item J is discussion, possible recommendation, updates and improvements for parks and parks walkthrough. There was a document that was circulated around in our packet that has to do with a walkthrough that Bob, myself, and Neil from the Public Works did on Larry Forest Park, on Veterans Park, and on Village Park. And have you guys had a chance to review these items at all?
Yeah, I've had a chance to look at him, Donnie. It looks like pretty much just some maintenance kind of stuff like that. Looks like a lot of stuff will be needing to get quotes out for some of this.
Right.
So this is I know Neil's the only parks guy down there, so this is I don't know if he'd be able to get through all this just by himself with on top
Well,
of.
not necessarily, but we were looking at a couple of things there, and also on our agenda was another thing about hiring summer help, but we're on this one right now, and it's good to have kind of a to-do list of things that we've seen. And one of the things that is up for discussion is getting on board, and I don't know what the pleasure of this committee is, but getting on board with direction on whether or not we remove the split rail fencing and replacing it with poles and chains. We did get a quote on that. Bob, I believe, sent that out. Bob, did you circulate that to the entire board or just send it over to me?
Just to you, Donnie, I didn't know, I just wanted to pass it by you. And so
Sure.
you're with it first.
So it's a rather expensive, quote right now. And for me, I'd rather talk about it as to whether or not we put this into a budget and determine it, going forward or not. And like some of the things I think Bob would agree, we put it into our, I believe it's, what is it, the 5-year plan?
Correct. Yep.
So what we say, get rid of split rail fencing and move towards chain link?
No, not chain link. It's more of a post with the chains. So it's easier to maintain. Otherwise the mowers end up just,
Beating them up.
wrecking the chain link pretty quickly.
Okay.
And the weed whip there, but it takes a long time.
Yeah, we don't want to rehash any chain link conversations, do we?
No.
So,
Okay.
but the real question is whether or not we remove it. And I'd probably say that we could table that discussion for a little bit unless Bob has an opinion on it. That we could table that until you guys have had a chance to look at those items with regards to removing the split rail fencing. I know Neil said less is more for him. It moves up the time that he needs to mow around things. And it might look a little better down the road. Split rail fencing is a maintenance item. I think Bob will agree to that. There's some heavy duty maintenance that's involved with that. I know it looks good, but the real question is whether or not we want to move forward. I think we could kick that to the Champions Committee and see if they might want to come up with a recommendation and come back to us with that. And maybe Bob, you could, get them some numbers on that, on the cost items. And then if they determine that they'd like to do that, they'd have to, understand that cost.
I'll pass it on to Caleb.
Okay, some of this other stuff though is like the redoing the basketball court at Veterans Park. That's some stuff to get quotes on. But one of the things I did mention, and it didn't fall on here, but it was discussed, was potentially at a dog park at Veterans. Actually it is on here. Discussion of the Board of Champions, a possible parking lot off Hud Street and potential dog park fencing, and that's at Veterans there. So maybe that might be something. Now I noticed Katie had mentioned something about the LaGrange as far as a potential place. Katie, we did have a conversation with the town and mentioned to them about Parnell Prairie Park as a potential dog park. And they said that they didn't feel that would be a good fit. Even though that's a joint park and there's a lot of room out there, people do take their dogs, but they're letting them off leashes or something. They were talking fencing and maintaining it and so on and so forth was something that they felt was not really in the best interest of that preserve. So right now our options really, unless somebody else comes out with something, would be either at LaGranger or at Veterans. Unless somebody else has an opinion on it.
What are liabilities for dog parks? Nothing. We can enter with your dog at your own risk and all that stuff.
Probably a question for Paul.
Pick up your dog, and you get a fine, or whatever fines.
I don't know. Yeah.
That's a great question. I know that would be something we could probably ask New Richmond. They have a dog park.
Yep, and they got a fence and they got bags up there and all that stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, I would just want to make sure from a liability standpoint, we're covered.
Yeah.
Not just on dogs on biting people, but other dogs and stuff, possibly.
Who insures the village?
Wisconsin municipality, League of Wisconsin municipalities.
All the municipalities, okay.
Insurance, it's state.
So they would know.
Okay, I'm sure Paul would know. It's a good question for Paul. I think outside of the dog park, I think everything on here is a good list of everything. I think we get a cost, so just get a cost associated to each one is outside of Neil's purview and outside of any supplies that we already have, and get a quote on it and just knock them out or bring them in front of us again at the next board meeting. We'll see how this list has progressed. And then we'll, decide on any monies that need to be spent, at that time. I think the budget came out and it was looking pretty, we're already,
About 20%. Yeah.
yeah. And we're about, we spent more than 20% of the budget, I think, so far, right?
Well, I think we can all agree that our budget is very depleted for the work that we're looking for here, but having the discussion about it and determining what we want to do and how we are going to pay for it is the reason that this was put on the agenda. So
Absolutely. Yeah, we gotta have a current state. One thing I did notice on here is this doesn't encompass the parks. Joe Casey Park in River Hills does not encompass the parks in the Meadows. What are we, or the ones that are also in,
Somerset Meadows.
the Meadows.
Whispering Pines.
Whispering Pines. So we're missing,
So
half
you
the
know,
parks.
yeah, you know that we just didn't have all day to go through all of them. I'd be willing to go through the rest of those parks and get a list on those too. But the ones that we were looking at right now were the heavily used ones.
Yeah, Donnie, you did the first few. Why don't me or Caleb take the others? Maybe that would make sense. We can divide and conquer.
I'll take the Meadows. I live a block away from it.
Okay. Oh, and I'll take the ones on this side of the bridge. I guess that makes sense. So.
Perfect.
Let's add that. Is that an issue?
So there's also one, not just in the Meadows, but there's also the one, the small park that's right behind.
Monte.
Purple Park.
Oh, yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta
we
get that
call
one.
it the
That's on
purple.
your
Yep.
side. That's yours too.
Got it.
You know where that one is?
Yep.
Okay.
One additional comment I have about this is this was right in the wheelhouse of the CAP project. And now the champions. I would encourage our board to work tightly with the champions committee on this because it was many things discussed. So any kind of cohesion we can get there, I think makes a lot of sense.
Did you tell them to come to the meeting today? Katie, are these a couple champions right here?
We are.
Oh, I figure. All right, good. Does that help?
think One of the important things that's on this list too, guys, is and gals out there is did we get the stripping of the parking lot done? Bob was gonna get in touch with the contractor. That's the only thing I didn't see anything back on that. I know we had approved getting that done and it was we got ball season coming up and at Larry Forest.
Yep. What was in my update?
Oh, was it? Okay.
It's right before your 2 pages in.
Okay, do we want to talk, sorry to keep moving, do we want to talk about anything else on J? Or we want to?
The only other thing was the working agreement with the school.
Yep, I gotta call into Trent. We're gonna work on a day that works for both of us. It might be some evening, just with our schedules. It's hard for him to get away from the school during the day, hard for me, and he lives in Woodbury, so we're working on the day. 2 weeks is what the contractor told me for the parking lot and the sidewalks.
Okay. And
Sure, stripes along. Sure, stripes along.
All right. Katie, do you have anything to offer as far as you're just gonna work with the champions committee on seeing because it obviously comes down to a cost and the pleasure of what the parks committee where they would like to if they would even consider entertaining a dog park in the village limits. So I thank you for coming down here tonight. If you got anything else to add, otherwise we'll move on.
Well, a few things, there could be fundraising efforts to help raise money for dog park. Great examples are to be found in the St. Croix Valley. Hudson actually did a lot of work fundraising and still does for their dog park. And I could talk to all of those, the friends of those dog parks, like their committees, and see how they got them set up and what their rules are. I do have, some familiarity with their rules already because I've visited them many times, but, and I know some of the people behind it, so I can do a lot of research that way. And I guess one thing I did wonder about is, getting access to maps of La Grandeur, to kind of see the park boundaries and what might potentially work with the geography there. I've done a couple walkthroughs, once with snow and one today, actually, just to kind of get an idea of the possibilities. If I could ask one question, there's a home there nearby to the north of La Grandeur, and then there's an empty field to the immediate south of that home. Do you guys happen to know, is that private land or is that village owned? If you know that.
I'd have to
field I'm
verify.
talking-
Do you want to write down your email for me and I'll
Sure.
email you those maps and.
Oh, yeah, thank you. That would-
I have her email, Bob.
Oh,
I can-
That's not-
I can-
sure, that
I
would
can
be
send
very
you.
good, yeah. And also just kind of the forest, that's the northern part of La Grandeur, if, how much of that is village owned? And seeing it without snow, of course, did help quite a bit. I could see the basket layouts much better because I could go travel the whole park. And so I do see that the baskets do take up a lot of the parkland, but, and then of course the pond is significant. There's a lot of hills. So there's, certain areas that are better than others, but
So I think that is private land, so I played a lot of disc golf out there and
the forest.
yeah, and I ran into the owners. I'm not sure what their names are, but I think they own the Bristol Ridge. And cause I found a golf cart down there before parked last the night before, but they ride motorcycles and stuff back there. So they ride more right along next to the disc golf course there. And then I'm not sure if if La Grandeur is part of it's getting sold or some of it's gonna be changed, the park on the one side? No, okay. Oh, no.
Well, let's have Bob get the maps over to Katie and she can review that and maybe come back and meet with the Champions Committee at a later date. We can see, because I think it makes good sense of our time here tonight, and as well as getting those questions that she had answered as far as boundaries and such.
Okay. Are we getting?
Thanks, Katie, for coming out. We will move on to
So there's mechanism that's like.
That you
So they blow.
I just.
project. Item number 4A, project updates on active projects.
So you had my memo. I won't belabor it too long. There's 2 items I want to point out, and if you want me to go into further detail, let me know. The memo talked about the bridge pre-construction meeting happening tentatively May 17th. They now want to push that out closer to their start date, and so that's being pushed back to May 31st is when the pre-construction meeting is going to occur. And then also I had a question for the board. We did receive earlier this week, pay application 10 for the wastewater facility. And it's mainly just storage materials, and I think it was around $34,000 or what have you. Is it okay to bring that directly to the board next week? Or would you prefer that it gets routed through Public Works and just?
Chuck, do you recommend it being approved for payment?
Yeah, I do. And
Then I would just take it to the board for direct payment. Usually your recommendations come forward unless it's something controversial.
Okay,
So I have a question in regards to this.
Unless there's objections from the committee.
No objections here. I know I had sent an email on this. I just wanted to follow up, see if we got any more information from the electricians around a time on when we were gonna have them in to do the electrical on that. If we got an update.
They're supposed to be here this week.
Yeah.
They've been in and out, and
Okay.
then next week they're supposed to be solid. They're still waiting on a few things. Yeah, it's kind of like that. We need this in order to do this. It's okay, and they're running out of things that they can do without some of those components not being in. So,
Oh, so it's on back order some of it.
yeah,
They understand that we have a strong desire to get that going, so we can get the bacteria experiment back up and running
Yep.
without them having to change everything over manually.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. We
Okay.
had a
I want to get that going.
lengthy meeting the other day, and so we had to work through a lot of electrical things in order not to run the plant manually for 2 months, 24 hours around the clock.
Well, if we're running it manually, a failure is gonna happen eventually.
So you want,
Chuck, you-
just so I'm clear, you just want to you want it done as quickly as possible. You don't want a temporary power situation or anything like that.
No, I want that tank up and running as soon as possible. And whatever roadblocks are standing in the way of getting us done ahead of schedule, I want them identified and I want to be pulled in directly so we can have those conversations.
So we're giving it 2 months.
2 months? Okay, that was better because we were looking at August before, I think. So, all right, good. Like to hear that. That was the only thing I had. on
And
that.
Brandon, just so you know, Tom Dye is the project manager, our wastewater specialist that's closer to that project than I am. So, if you work through Jim or Bob, or if you, you're welcome to email me, but I'll have to hit Tom Dye up.
One neck to choke.
Yeah,
That's what
right?
Chait always says.
One neck to choke.
Yeah.
So with the rest of the stuff that's coming out with the bids and everything that are being let here in May, I'm sure we'll have a full plate on our agenda next month as well for the sidewalk improvements and stuff like that. That's all gonna be, the bids that are gonna be let out for that as well, right?
Yeah, the sidewalk and all that stuff is later this week,
Right, right.
and then growing wings later in the month, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be a
All
busy
right.
2 months.
Caleb, you got anything else on the general updates? Any questions or anything like that? You're new on this board. You're welcome to ask anything you like.
I'm along for the ride.
Okay.
I had one more thing I wanted to clarify, wine sap, that's not stopping the current edition, it's stopping the ones phase 3. Or
No,
phase
it's
2.
confusing, because they did the original one, and then they did the second edition, and now they're doing the first edition.
So it's stopping the second edition, or
It's,
stopping the,
it's modifying some of that and adding to it.
okay, so they're still building houses out there, we're good to build and keep
Yeah, that,
filling.
this isn't
lots,
slowing
but
that down at all.
future, okay.
Um,
Perfect.
But, there's some things, if they don't get that overflow, they gotta either redesign it to keep all that water on site, or,
We should probably, before I forget, we should probably, on the Churchill project, that's gonna all be concrete. And what they're asking to do is set up a temporary concrete plant on tip 5. Or, so kind of tucked into the corner there. I can send you what they have. They've met all of our DNR criteria and the state's checked off on it.
You've set one up there before, haven't they?
Yes.
Okay.
So just, if you want board approval on that, I'm certainly fine doing that, but I just wanted to let you know that.
I think it makes sense that any improvements on TID 5 or stuff like that should be run through the board and
Not
get
an
improvement on.
Don, it's not an improvement, Donnie, just a temporary cement station.
yeah.
But okay, but if it's going to be taking up, space on there, it should at least be brought through otherwise we're just setting up. They could set up anything anywhere, right?
Well, no, the DNR oversees it.
Well, the state certifies it, so they say, yeah, that's fine to use it there. The county said no in their pit, and the town said no, so they're kind of tight on options. Otherwise, they're gonna have to truck it in, and that's gonna slow the project down
Yeah.
significantly. So,
So why did the county say no in their pit?
because it's a mining operation and the safety, the county doesn't want an incident down there. They're just absolutely.
Not more
so no,
moving vehicles.
Yeah.
They don't want vehicles
Down in a
there
hole.
that are associated with the county.
And so if anybody gets injured on, at this place, is there a liability issue against the village, being that it's on village property?
Falls under the state's liability. That's why they have to certify that that's okay. They have to make sure that it's safe and there's not a,
Will it hold them up if we don't, if this has to go in front of the
No.
board meeting?
no,
Okay, let's go in front of the board.
Okay.
Okay,
5A, discussion, possible recommendation, street use permit, pea soup days. You all received the permit. It looks like it's pretty much the same as it was last year, and they included the insurance. It said, well, they said insurance is working on it. What would you like to do here?
a lot of times in the past, this committee has approved conditional on village board receiving insurance at that meeting.
That being said, I'll make a motion to approve the pea soup days, street use permit application contingent on, providing, adequate insurance as required by the ordinance.
Brandon Crowe, second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve pea soup days as street use permit. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Do you want that certificate of liability insurance by the board meeting? So by May 16th? Because Pea Soup Days is what, a few weeks later?
Correct. Well, he said he's working on it, so that would put the fire into him if we'll approve it conditioned on that insurance certificate. So I'm sure he could probably generate that by then. Or at least by Pea Soup Days, for crying out loud.
Well, okay,
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item 5B, discussion recommendation, Stab Construction Pay App 9.
So yes, we have reviewed this and we are recommending approval of pay application 9. And it is for $142,989.25. It's primarily stored materials. They will be mobilizing soon, if not already, and so you'll start seeing quite a bit more activity. So, and is there any questions around?
Is this project, is this project on schedule?
Yes.
Brandon
What's the
Crowe makes a
pleasure?
motion-
What's your pleasure?
Brandon Crowe make a motion to approve Stab Construction Pay App 9 for the amount of $142,989.25.
Recommend approval?
I think I was gonna say, I think you're recommending approval to the board for that, right?
Recommending approval.
Second, Caleb Garn.
Motion made, seconded to recommend approval of 142,989.25. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. 5C. IRB park license to use Village Park River's Edge. There was something in your packet in regards to this. It was the application and a couple certificate of liability. Showing 2 million. Is that what they normally do on this, Bob? Can you refresh my memory on that? Was it 2 million or was it more than that?
no, I think they made it 5 million and then reduced it to 2. If my memory serves me correctly. And it's appropriate, in my opinion, I guess.
Okay. And it looks like they're getting off at the village park there and then going across the bridge and then coming and getting picked up. Is this pretty much similar to last year?
with the exception of where they will be picking up tubes, will be on the east side of the river. They're
And
not
will that be in Village Park or will that be in their own, on their own property? Because nothing is said in there about that. That's why that's why I was asking the question.
Probably would make most sense to put it on village property by the beach, isn't it?
I don't have an answer to this question.
Isn't that what you said at the meeting? On the public safety meeting?
I don't know exactly where he's picking up, if it's on the Plurd side, which is on
Did
the
public safety approve this?
I believe so.
I think they did.
I think so.
Either way, they gotta get the tubes out of there. That's what it is.
I think, this year it wouldn't make sense for him to have any tubing, getting picked up down there with the bridge being shut down. So, well, I mean, if he's gonna get tubes picked up, wouldn't he get them picked up probably right where he's picking up the rest of his, the rest of his people?
Yeah, but I think he doesn't want them to bring him up the hill, right? He's gonna drop him drop right there. Anyways, either way.
Well, that was all my questions. What's the pleasure of this board?
Kilgarn recommend to send item 5C to the board.
Are you recommending approval?
Yep,
Brandon Crone second. Did he freeze? Was he just staying really still?
you're frozen, Donnie.
Nice. There he is.
It's hard.
You're still muted.
All in favor of the board, of the motion to recommend approval of the IRP license, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. 5D. Wastewater testing services. I believe there was something in the packet also with regards to change in a recommended change for Ag Source.
Yeah. Yeah, Egg Source. I don't know that we need your approval for this, but so we are looking for every available cost savings at the wastewater plant. Jim dug into other labs that would service Somerset on a pickup. Like we currently have, we have a lab picking up our samples. This lab will do the same. They'll do actually a little bit more because our current sampling company only comes Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. They'll come 5 days a week if we have a Tuesday sample that we need to take for a back tea or something. So this does save us about $6,000 in costs, and this would be, reflective on water and wastewater. Water's a little bit less, pretty much the same price, but the savings for sewer is, almost $5,700.
Yeah, I spoke with Jim a little bit about this the other, yesterday when I was down at the shop, and he said that basically same lab accreditations, all that kind of stuff that's required by the state. So as far as the paperwork is concerned, it's basically the same deal, so. I wouldn't see a reason why not to go with it.
Well, I think it's a good job for you guys to look for that and find that kind of savings. And if you have to go, you don't need any recommendation from us.
I believe so on this. It's just more for your information. and awareness.
Good. It's good to know, maybe even a notice that we're, found that savings. It's good to be brought up. I appreciate the hard work and looking for that. 5E. Growing Wings utility improvements.
So, the boring, the geotechnical was out there and, that,
You did the boring?
yeah, not good.
A lot of rock.
They found a lot of rock. They think it's cobbles.
What's
And
cobbles? What's the difference between cobbles and bedrock?
Cobble.
Bedrock is solid.
Cobble.
if it's cobbled, you can take an excavator and deal with it more so than you can with bedrock,
Hammer.
So, and we did soil borings because you could go deep, and we got a deep manhole, but we hate cobble, so we believe it's cobble and not bedrock. But, so we're coordinating to get an excavator out there to dig and see if we got what kind of cobbles we do have, or if it's bedrock.
And at all drill sites, you ran into
Well,
what you believe is cobble, or you were able to get farther down at each site, and that's why you think it's cobble, as
Yeah, a couple
opposed to
spots.
running
Yeah,
into
We're
it.
getting so close to the river there, you're hitting a lot of glacial deposit, which is pretty common.
What does glacial deposit consist of?
Rocks, just
Yeah.
rock.
All
Yeah, the side of the bridge was all cobble. Just when we did this excavation for Main Street, it was all rock.
okay.
So the
So why
reason
do
we're
we
saying that is we want to explore a little bit more so we don't surprise a contractor.
Yeah.
And they come back and say, well, we're gonna charge you a rock excavation.
yeah, we don't want to be fighting about whether it's,
Cobblestone.
rock excavation or, or.
So what are you looking for from this committee
Nothing.
tonight?
This is just purely an update.
Okay.
Just keeping you in the loop.
Appreciate that. Appreciate the information. Then we'll keep right on moving
You
down.
did.
Who did say in his experience that there's no bedrock up here. So. that was
Good news.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we checked.
Item 5F. That is bids for cleaning, fixing, and matching street lamp signs posted on Main Street. This was brought up and asked to be put on the agenda for this meeting by Mike Cappers, President Cappers, and I'm just looking, there was a couple of things that he had mentioned with that regards. Now, Bob, have you reached out to anybody as far as, should we maybe look at doing like a walkthrough and determining what we need to get fixed and such like that, and to kind of get a to-do list in regards to that? Or I know you had sent an update to us in regards to getting a bid for the light fixtures, the LEDs and everything, getting that process started, but
Neo
if
Electric
it-
is the one I met with. And
Okay.
they are working on getting me a quote. I have not received it yet. But they're the ones most familiar with our fixtures.
Mhm.
Contractor we hired to replace the ones that burn out. The ones that burn out are high sodium bulbs, and we replace them with LED. So that's why there's two different hues of color.
So you'll get a
Right.
quote, for us to make them all matching.
Correct.
Perfect.
Yep, and then to fix any lenses that are busted or any other brackets that are busted.
Oh, so you're, okay, so
Sounds
you're
good.
on that then? Good.
Just right in here.
We also looking at, possibility, I didn't know if, the cleaning and fixing and painting and stuff like that, if that's something that maybe we just look at and deal with if we find a couple of light posts that are out of sorts or whatever, scratched up, scraped or whatever, And maybe we can determine whether or not that's worthy of a, paint repair or what that is down the road. But I think once we get the numbers on the lights and, getting stuff kind of cleaned up down or fixed up, kind of like I said, a to-do list of the areas. I think also is there was a bid out here on G. So I think F is pretty much, unless somebody has something to go forward with on that, wait till we get the bids and stuff in and deal with it at that time.
One comment I have on the bulbs in particular is, I read an article a couple weeks ago about a lot of municipalities that had changed the LED, and they found that a certain hue of light made it harder to see at night. I'll try to find the article again, but I think we should consider that. They found it most notably an issue if it was like drizzling out and you get weird reflections in the water on your windshield. So there is a maximum hue of color that benefits safety concerns.
I imagine Neo, what was that?
Neo.
Neo would probably know that, the experts on that.
Yeah, so there's our DOT equivalents. So
Okay.
we're following those specs on the fixture. I don't know if that's,
I'll find the article, but it was,
we can ask some lighting people to that engineer
I'm sure
the appropriate.
those guys have already approached this issue many times.
Thanks, Caleb.
Yep.
Remember, Mark?
Huh? Oh, God, yeah.
5G we're talking about now, discussion of cost for welcome banners. In their packets, there was something of a cost for a welcome banner. $23.27 a piece for double-sided banners. Is that with our design on them, or Bob, did you get this?
That's just a blank canvas. I didn't put a design on them.
So we need to get both of these?
I could put a barn picture and something.
Do we need to buy both of these then? The 18 by 36s and the 30 by 72s, or are those two
The
separate
big,
options?
big box lights are the 13 quantity. 30 by 72. The small decorative are the 18 by 36.
So we have 28 of these currently.
Yes,
Yes.
and that's not including River Street.
Okay.
So we have these that are up on the poles or ones we've already purchased?
No, we got the poles. I just don't think we have some of the banners going away over the years, right?
Yeah,
Ripped for,
I think.
How often do these things need to be replaced? And well, we've had them,
Good point.
How often do you have to replace flags? I mean, 5 years?
flags.
But I guess we want to say, since we're going for the sake of continuity with the poles, I would say we want continuity with the banners too. If we're gonna change all the light poles, we want to change all the banners.
I would pawn this off to the Champions Committee. They are talking a logo for our community. And
Oh,
I strongly recommend that as well.
perfect.
Bring in the champions.
I'd appreciate the feedback and help with it, because last thing I want to do is pick out a design.
And then the money
Is
side
that
of it.
motion
because
then?
it's not much to do.
is that a motion to move forward that we're going to recommend this be, held by the Champions Committee for a possible recommendation as far as the welcome signs and the different labeling of the signage for the town?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Question.
Instead of kind of more of a comment than a question, I'd like to try to make a recommendation to the committee to have them be like red and black so we can co-brand with school colors.
But those aren't the colors of the village. I can see both ways.
Where are the colors of the village?
Blue,
Blue right now, but
look at your logo on your shirt.
yeah.
Gray and white.
now's a good
Well,
time to change.
That can be discussed by the Champions Committee, right? As if they're the ones that are gonna come up with the colors and I think it's good to have their input on that stuff. I agree, that we just leave it in their hands out. There was a motion on the table. Is there a second to that motion?
Brandon Crone, second.
Okay, motion been made, seconded to defer the welcome banners and to the Champions Committee for possible recommendation. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion's carried. 5H. Welcome home street sign. We don't really have much in our packet on that. It was again brought up on that. Is that something that maybe we forward over to the Champions Committee, or Mike, do you have anything that you have to offer as far as a cost of that, or should we have get a cost of that, or what?
Amy, did you get those?
I know it's Tapco. That's all I know. Tapco.net. And we'd have to get a hold of somebody there to, I mean, tell them exactly how big you need,
Okay, I think you're gonna do
so,
2x3 and 3x4 pricing.
yep.
So but we'll just leave that. We'll take that. If there's no next month.
Laurel,
Aren't we, are we already getting 2 new signs? 2 new, isn't the Lions Club
working on it.
building 2 new signs? Will this will
Well,
be a sign after the sign?
we're about,
Second, welcome. Welcome again.
the one electric sign is about 70% of the way fundraised for.
Okay.
Um,
And that's gonna be on that same street? When you come into town?
That's gonna be up on
35.
For the well
Aren't there gonna be
house.
2 of them?
Well house.
Eventually, the second one
I
is
mean, the
planned,
meadows?
but
Replacing that sign.
it could be a couple of years.
And so far they've raised 38,000 of the 75,000 for the sign that'll go at the Meadows.
78,000.
No,
75,
35,
The,
on 35,
the first one was gonna go,
35.
35.
or just had a conversation earlier today, but okay.
So this sign will be meant to be the temporary one until the other sign comes in, or, I guess I just don't get the point of having 2 welcome signs.
Well, this is more like a welcome home for the sign, or the street sign that's knocked down and missing, instead of spending $100,000 taking out that.
I don't think it cost $100,000. It was like it was like what, 30 grand or something?
Well, no, we get the bid, that's an alternate on the bid.
Yeah, oh, it's an alternate.
Hey, we don't even have the numbers on that yet.
Yeah.
We had that it was gonna be between, I think there were some people originally saying between, 10 and 15 to 20,000, but it's right to get the numbers before we make that determination. That's why I suggest to table this until we get more hard numbers, both on the cost for that extra and what the cost of a sign would be.
Brandon Crone, second.
Motion made, second table. Welcome home sign until we get more information. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. 5I. It's the Citizens Complaint Form, Public Works Task Management Software. I know Bobby had mentioned something that you're working with, I think Chuck's firm, right? On something for task management?
Yeah, the GIS division, so they're working to create that task order application for an internal staff to use to track orders. Also, they're looking at providing examples of different communities' mobile apps. Instead of going to the village website, you'd have a mobile app. The mobile app would have all kinds of capabilities. It's just what we would want on that. It would have the ability to do push notifications. So, if someone wanted to be alerted for this meeting tonight, they could say, I want to be, alerted for public works meetings, snow events,
How much is that?
parades.
How much does that cost?
I don't have a number because he said it all kind of depends on how much level you want into that, because they can go very basic and they go very big. So,
What was the basic?
À la carte.
yeah, he didn't give me a number. He said it's fairly, no, he said it wasn't.
Is it like a per message deal if we send out push messages or?
Our push messages would come from our software for our website and it push out to that.
Ah, okay, all right, so it'd be somewhat.
It's mainly just building it.
It's, yes, building the network and, so that I want to infuse into our GIS. So if someone had, there's a pothole, it would link into their location and they could say, there's a pothole on Liberty Circle. Well, it wasn't, it was over in, Bruce Larson Way. It's an accident. So it sends us to the right place, or water leaking or anything like that. If we did declaring a snow emergency, things like that.
Is it
So-
something we can already incorporate into that GIS? And it's not gonna be a huge cost. I think that's great. I think we need to start pushing more of our activities through this because it's great for the adopt a hydrant. And for the cleaning of the streets. I use that and it was pretty simple. You can even name your fire hydrant.
Yeah, and so I've always kind of, for the last, several years of, kind of requested us going to a mobile app, just because,
That's where everything's going.
well, right, you don't visit your bank's website to do banking, it's on your phone, you don't pay your bills, it's on your phone.
Bob, when do you think we might have some kind of more information on that? Do you think it'll have it by next month's meeting or by the board meeting? I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. I just, trying to get an idea.
I sent Jeff a message just asking what his turnaround time would be. So, yes, definitely by next month.
Okay, so shall we table this until next month and then we have that? Now, I know there's a citizens complaint form on this item agenda as well. And I think, that complaint form will tie right into the whole app thing. So this would be a good thing to investigate, to have this. I know it was brought up, by the finance committee, prior, the personnel committee that, communication is key. So, if we can get something and it's affordable and it's good for the citizens to both two-way, let them know what we're doing and them let us know what's doing, like not failing to put up proper business signs where we need to, that'd be great. Because sometimes, we miss things. So shall we table this until next month?
Hey, Donnie, we
Yeah.
do have the feedback form on our website too.
Okay,
So, I mean,
And
people,
is there, let me ask you this, is there a follow-up to that feedback form?
it comes to to info email, and yes, there would be a follow-up.
Yeah, typically we get those emails, Donnie, and then, typically we have that conversation of who would have that. I know when I see public work stuff come in, I call Bob and see that he's answered to it. As far as a documented way of doing that, I don't think we have one. I think we all just kind of make sure someone responded to it.
Yeah, so that would be included with this. That was the discussion with Jeff, was to have a tracking. So let's just say, for instance, we received 15 complaints about a dirty bathroom in our park over a month. I then know that it's helping me supervise my staff to say, you're not doing a good enough job, or, I'm not picking on that part, but,
All in
or,
one place.
something. It gives us a time and a stamp date where we responded to you, we fixed it, and then it records that as well.
And that's currently being done, Bob?
No, that's what the discussion with Jeff was at MSA, to have that, so that it gives you the ability to look and it'll compile some data for us to say, okay, looks like we need to improve our efforts in these areas of town.
It can be good for grant applications, depending on what information's collected. It's good for even just educating the public, why are you doing this project? Well, look, we have, X amount of complaints about what's going on here, so.
More information is always good.
Great. Well, I don't know if we need a motion to table that or if we just move on and we'll make sure we put it on next month's agenda.
Go ahead. Mike's raising his hand. Go ahead, Mike.
I just have a quick question for Chuck on, I think you guys did the map for the Adopt a Hydrant program and the Adopt a Street program.
Yeah,
Can you, on the Adopt a Hydrant program, add a place for people's to collect their email addresses and phone numbers? That way, at the beginning of the season, we can reach out to them and ask them if they're still willing to adopt that same hydrant.
I think you can put that in there.
It's not, I'm looking at it right now, just says,
Look at the one off 80th Street named Flo. Should have my email in there.
it's been so long since I've looked at it that I have to
it
revisit
just
it.
says Flo, Brandon Crone, hydrant 251, but doesn't, this one doesn't collect email addresses or phone numbers. The other.
It might not be out there for public information, but it could be internally though, too. So
It's-
maybe Chuck reaches into it to see if it's internal, because maybe they don't put their public emails on, on the website like that.
Yeah, it's not. The other one does have it. The street one does have it, the hydrant one, this.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, match the street one then. Whatever the inputs are for the street. maybe
That way we can reach out at the beginning of the season, or if a hydrant's not getting done, we can contact them and say, hey, are you still wanting to do
Things
this?
ahead of time, we look forward to you signing up again. blah, blah, blah.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, but the street one is,
Street one's fine.
The street one's fine?
That's name, phone number and email address.
Okay.
Just the hydrant only has contact info, adopter contact info.
Okay,
Nah.
so 5K. Community garden.
This one, I asked Donnie to put this on. Thank you for putting this on, Donnie. This is just kind of more of like an update, than anything else. We actually finished up planting last night. We ended up making 6 planters. We made those planters, with generous donations of time and space, by Mike Larrabee, myself, SMC, my mom Kathy Fuller, and then Katie, who was here, she helped us plant. And then also, the city guys helped us a little bit. They helped us fill in the buckets. And they got a tank. We had a tank that was sitting out by the shop, so we were able to get that. We got the water tank filled up and that's up there right now. So we have 1 bed left at this time. I'm reaching out to some folks that I know live in the apartments that don't have access to gardening. And we're gonna see if they're going to get on board and get one. And then I'm thinking 6 for this year, and then we'll see how this goes, and we'll see if we get more people want to sign up, and maybe we'll do another 6 next year.
Brandon, how do people sign up?
So at this time, if for anyone who wants to get involved, just email me at the village, B Crone, KROHN, at villageofsomerset.us. And right now, like I said, we have 1 bed left. I wasn't planning on building anymore. We kind of had figured for 6, but if folks that don't have access to arable land where they could do their own garden, I would definitely, they could probably talk me into making some more of them. So.
Appreciate the update.
Where is it located?
So it's located, if you're taking I as you head north, it's on the corner of I and 60th Street. So it's General Sam's light show parking lot. So there's a big water tank there, and there's the six planters right there. So again, I just want to say thanks a lot to Bob and the guys for helping me out down there. I know they use their lunch breaks to help me out because they're super busy with all kinds of other stuff right now. So thanks again, Bob. And of course, whatever we grow, I'll bring some in here. We got one lady who's doing all beets in the one, so I hope y'all are hungry for beets.
Can't beat that.
Oh,
Jeez.
I like that one, coming right off
Yeah,
that
man.
field. That's good.
so that was really all, and I just want to thank everyone who was involved with it, because I know I had talked about this since I'd gotten on board since October. And this was really a goal and a dream of mine, for the village to have this. So thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Item 5L, sweeping private parking lots.
So every year we get requests to sweep school parking lot, businesses parking lots, and it takes us off a little bit off. It's time consuming for us, but I wanted to run it by the board to see if somebody did ask and we had the time, and we do charge for this. We have charged for it in the past, so it would still go on our equipment charge and they have to pay the rate for the worker. If how the committee and the board felt about it.
So for me, I have thought about this one a little bit, and my goal is to trying to keep as much out of those ponds as we can. So any sand that isn't picked up in any of these lots or isn't picked up at all is just gonna end up in any of these retention ponds, which we're gonna end up having to pump. And it's a lot cheaper to sweep it up with the streets. It's a lot cheaper to get paid for it to sweep it up with the sweeper than it is to pump it out of the ponds later.
What
So
do
that's
we,
kind of
what
my
are,
stance.
we're just charging an hourly rate for a guy and then so much equipment wise, is that something, is there a fixed rate on that or something like that or what?
We have an equipment charge list, so if for any instance, we would have to help town or county out, we have a rate and a charge for the equipment that we do, but, we're talking private businesses. So I just wanted to make sure, before, I told them no this year. I said, no, I'm not gonna be able to, I need to get the consensus of the board prior, so.
So if you're charging the time for the person, the burden rate for the machine, and you have the available time that meets those three criteria, I think it's fine.
I
Is that a
agree.
Brandon Crone motion to approve sweeping of private parking lots as long as those three stipulations that I mentioned are met.
That you're getting the money, you're getting the machine, and they got the time.
Yes, sir.
Is there a second to that motion?
Caleb Garn, second.
Motion made, seconded to approve sweeping of private parking lots provided they meet the three criteria as mentioned previously. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. 5M, hiring summer help. I put this on the agenda because we had talked about it last year. It didn't happen. And I think in our budgeting process, we agreed to increase the hiring or the wage for summer help. Are we on track to get somebody or advertise for summer help? Grass is starting to grow.
Yep, we have one, so he approached.
We did get one.
Yep, we have two that apply, but we really just want to see how one works out. And for now,
So does he just ride around with Ben, or is he with the weed commissioner, or all of them?
he'll go with whoever needs the assistance.
Okay.
There's to be some independent mowing here and there.
And is there start of getting into them, mentoring them as part of the water and water? Do they get into the water treatment side of it and the operator side of it and all that
They'll
kind of
get out
stuff?
of jetting, but we
Okay.
don't bring them down to the plant just because.
Well, here's my question. On these summer help, what is their intention? Is it to work in the plant, in the treatment plant, or is their intention to be out there running a lawnmower so that Neil can do some of this stuff on the fix-it list? Because we did talk about that, and his time is very valuable on a lot of things that haven't been touched at these parks, was because, we couldn't get anybody hired last year to help cut grass.
So no work in the plant. There's too many issues where first he has to get trained on too much stuff, and hepatitis shots would have to be done. And by the time hepatitis shots were done, they'd be gone for back to college.
So
we
talking watering the flowers, cutting the
Yes.
grass, stuff like
General-
that.
General labor, but then he'll assist on some sewer jetting.
What's our
And
hiring rate?
flushing. Pardon? You're
What was our
breaking up.
hiring rate at?
How much we paying them?
We haven't discussed
Rate
that with them yet. We haven't discussed it yet with them.
Pay has not been discussed, Donnie.
I thought it was established in our budget.
Well, I kind of told him I'll pay you what you're worth when I see how you're performing on the first week. And he kind of shrugged his shoulders and said, okay.
But you told them the base pay,
Yes, I said, so we'll see how you're working out.
plus or minus $1. You know,
We'll see. Okay. The kid comes highly recommended, so.
okay. Hope he's worth it. We're paying what he's worth. I'm coming down there.
Okay,
Just need a motion.
update on bids for curbs, center line and crosswalks.
2 weeks.
Okay,
So table that till
No. 2 weeks for curb and sidewalks, except for Main and Spring Street.
all the ones that are already covered by the,
Well, so we're doing an extensive amount of work, so I don't want fresh paint ripped up of curb
oh,
and sidewalk. It
got it.
mangled by track hose.
that'll get done that's gonna be after the work gets let and gets finished on that, right?
Correct.
Okay, all right. So we're basically tabling Main and Spring until we get the sidewalks, curbs and gutters and all that stuff hopefully done.
Correct.
But we got 2 weeks on everything else?
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? I think that's covered. 5-0. Signage for businesses affected by construction, open for business. I think you kind of covered that a little bit in public comment. Is there any more that we need to talk about there, or is there, maybe people can just email us and say, hey, we need to, are we helping with that? Or are we getting them signs up saying, exit here for this business and exit here for this business?
Dairy Queen has one.
So I did explain, we did add something to our website that instructed people which exit to take to get to the east or west side businesses. We did put signage up on the LaGranger and Highway 64 intersection that directed people to the commercial businesses, the grocery store, the bank, Subway, Quick Trip, and Dairy Queen.
How much does it cost to put a sign up? I know we had to have some signs made specific to the detour signage that we had to get. Pardon?
$700 for 4 signs.
So we're looking at about $250 a sign? Is it too unreasonable for us to be looking at or making a recommendation to this board that during this time, if we got businesses that are out there, they can appeal to the board for getting the signage put up, direct people into their businesses if the board approves it?
I'm all for that. But I mean, I think we should go as far as to help pay for something out on like exit, is that 6? Directing folks into town, saying what businesses are there and
So-
available.
I make a motion that we recommend to the board that we provide a sign at each one of the exits with a, going in both ways, so east and west going, so that people can, and then the businesses that want to get on that sign can notify the village and they can get put on that sign so we can instruct them which way to get to that. We're talking $500. I think that's the least that we could do for our businesses, especially like Sportsman's and Rendezvous that are downtown. Well, how do you get to them? You know, et cetera, off the main runs. Everybody coming up they don't have to worry about it. They're gonna catch it. But coming from Stillwater, if they go all the way to the second exit and find out they can't come across, that'd be a cause for them to go home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
where it gets to be a challenge, Donnie, is if, I mean, you've got 50 businesses down here. You
Well, that's
know,
why it goes to the board that, you know, I mean, they'd have to decide. I mean, obviously, we're not gonna put up a notice for where the post office is because they can find them, or maybe we put a notice up there saying that contact the village or is there some kind of way we can get a push notification out to them if they were able to, go that? But I understand what you're saying about 50 businesses, but the service businesses downtown are the ones that are going to take a serious hit. And those are the ones that we need to provide some kind of assistance to it during this time.
Yeah, let's go there after this meeting. Kidding. I agree.
Yep.
All right, should we move on to we've got the next meeting in 8 minutes, Donnie. I think we might next meeting starts at 7, right?
Mhm.
So we should try and pound through these if we can. I think we should make a motion to, we should make a motion for possible recommendation at the board meeting.
Donnie,
Yeah,
sir.
Oh, we did. I'm sorry. Brandon Crone second.
Motion made, seconded to defer this and make a recommendation for signage to businesses affected to the board meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Go ahead.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. 5P, paint a hydrant program. Seems like it's up and running, and I've seen some notices out there. Is there any questions or concerns by the board or the committee on this?
I have no concerns. Just make sure everyone's wearing their eye protection up there. Be safe. Keep the paint on the fire hydrants.
Right, so we kind of keep following through with that and see where we're at. Hopefully we can get a pretty good push on that with the community coming forward on it, and we'll see where we're at towards the end of the year and maybe revisit that. Maintenance and parking ordinances on village lots.
If I could say one thing on that, the Lions Club donated $300 for paint at B&J. And then I'll leave a couple of brushes there that people could kind of check out, along with a map where they can say like, okay, I'm gonna do these 2 fire hydrants, and because each can does about 2 fire hydrants. So it was nice, very nice for the Lions Club to vote and give $300 towards them.
The one
Well,
thing
at $10 a can, and you get 2 hydrants out of that, that's dang near 60 hydrants that we're talking there, right?
Well, the Do It Best ones, they're gonna give us, it's the same product as, it's a Rust-Oleum product, but it's Do It Best. And their case price, they can get it to us for $7 a can, which is 42 cans, which is 84 fire hydrants.
Well,
Yeah, and the
we're
ones up in the
we're almost halfway there then.
Yeah, and the ones up in River Hills are still pretty shiny, so everyone keep their hands off flow. From a fire hydrant.
Okay, but we're gonna move on. Maintenance on parking ordinances, village lots, okay? This is something I would suggest that we probably, look at reviewing, doing the maintenance on these village lots. I know we got some potholes on one of them that we just purchased, and there were some bigger holes on the other ones. Do we grade them out at all? I know, or is that something that we can talk about down the road here a little bit?
If
We can do
One's
whatever he
gonna
wants.
become a turn lane this summer, isn't it?
if I could interject, Donnie,
Mike?
It's something I put on the agenda, and I talked to Tom Landry, who's amazing with his machine, to give us a bid for the 235 Main Street parking lot, the 128 Main Street parking lot. And then if you drive down into the village park right now, it's full of potholes. He didn't think it'd take much, but if we can make some kind of a recommendation now for a certain dollar amount to not go over, to get Tom Landry out there to get it looking nice right away.
Why don't we defer that to the board meeting for discussion? I think, once we have a dollar amount in our midst, we always kind of like to have a couple of different numbers on that, right? When we're doing bids, unless you're comfortable with that, Bob.
Sure.
I mean, I didn't know you guys.
A roundabout number, at least before the next meeting, Mike, so we can at least have a ballpark one before we go into the meeting. Thank you.
But we'll place that on the agenda for the regular board meeting for discussion. On the walking bike trail from Meadows to Main Street, I know there was a bid that was sent out. It was extremely high. It was like $3 million. Maybe this is something I think down the road, I'd like to, table it for now, just because we don't have any other bids, and that bid that was old, and we have to figure out a way to get our walking trails, and maybe that might be something we can kick to the Champions Committee also to see if we can figure out.
One thing on this, Donnie, I know I've had conversation with Bob on this before. Is the railroad gonna sign off on this? Does this need railroad approval or?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, they're gonna tell us the town thing, so, I mean, we can try.
Well, this is a bridge over.
This is a bridge.
Yeah.
It'll be working fine.
Bridge,
There's two separate ones.
Okay.
And
So
I
there's,
saw, but either way, we want, those plans wouldn't need approval from the railroads.
they said they would approve. that.
They would approve, okay, all right.
It's Not at that great crossing.
and you could probably plan on them being 40% higher now too.
And just for clarification, I also put this on the agenda, but mine wasn't building anything over the railroad. It was creating a walking path from the front of the Meadows, walking across the bridge, the double V Victor Bridge, into Main Street down in front of Apple River Liquor. I know that
Which-
bridge is built, so this was a question for you. Could we do barricades on one side, move the center lane over a little bit, and then still have a walking path?
The county's bridge.
Yeah. And that bridge is in rough shape to begin with.
They just did a bunch of work on it this week.
why don't we look at that with the county and maybe see what, have a conversation with them if it's the county's bridge?
Sounds like a plan.
Maybe then.
Because if it becomes a safety concern where we got residents walking up on there, stuff like that, sometimes they have a tendency of moving a little bit more. Last thing on, 5S, no concert parking signs in place by 6 AM day of the concert. Are we putting them up? Public Works?
Shouldn't be.
Okay.
Again, this is something I put on the agenda at the meeting that we had with the concert promoters and Live Nation and law enforcement and EMS. Live Nation says they don't get into this anywhere else because it's a liability for them to put it out. They have no legal authority over parking or putting it out. They said everywhere else it's their public works people that put it out. They were going to supply the signs and then we'd have to have them out by like 6 AM. You can put them out the night before, but by 6 AM the day of.
Well, normally, does Public Works normally put that stuff out, or does a police department put that stuff out when it's no
Well,
parking?
Last year, nobody did, but there was some confusion of who was gonna do it, and that's why it was such a cluster, and people were pretty upset about everybody parking wherever they wanted to.
Well, agreed. I don't disagree that we need to have no parking sign. And I guess what I'm asking for is whether or not Public Works has put them out in the past, or if it's been by a different department. Bob?
Before it was Live Nation, the promoters put them out. Now that it's Live Nation, they said it's not their responsibility, and they have liability against it. And no authority.
So should we table this and discuss it at the board meeting?
Sure,
Sounds good.
When's the first answer?
June 23rd, Friday, June 23rd.
Okay, let's table that. Let's put that on the agenda to discuss at the board meeting. Public Works Department reports.
Oh, I think you missed T.
T.
The agenda was updated.
Yep, I sent out a updated agenda yesterday.
Street
Okay.
use permit for Somerset United.
That's right. That one did come through. Okay, what the discussion on that one?
You want me to hit it again? It's for,
Yeah, your name's on it.
yeah, for Somerset Market Fest, which would be Thursday, starting June 15th. It would go from 4 PM to 8 PM, starting that June 15th to Thursday, September 28th. And we close down basically like from Main and Spring to Garfield Street, and do have food trucks, vendors, show and shine car show, show and shine bike show. They'd be able to have open containers and an approved cup up until a certain time.
Is that, gotta be approved, the open container, gotta be approved by the safety commission,
Yep, it already got approved at Public Works on Monday, so then it just has to go for the full board. Whenever that meeting is.
I believe it was only approved to HUD Street. From Spring to HUD. It was a 200 block.
But shutting that, yeah, I guess either way, that's fine.
And I don't think Joel said about the open containers. I don't know. Open containers. Oh, open containers in that 200 block.
Yep, and the open containers for public safety or whatever, but in the 200 block of Spring and the 200 block of Main from 4 PM to 10 PM each of those Thursdays.
You got 4 to 8 on here.
4 to 8.
The open containers can go to 4 to 8. The Market Fest goes from, or the open container, Market Fest goes from 4 PM to 8 PM. The open containers, they're allowed to go till 10 o'clock. Because they'll be going from back and forth from Sportsman's or Rendezvous.
we're closing the street down from 4 to 8 then, right?
Correct.
Does this committee have any issue with that?
So the police, we'll be pulling police from this every Thursday.
Either police or public works, whoever is gonna put the signs out.
Do the guys work at 8 o'clock?
So we can figure out some signage. It's not a big deal.
Who is, so this is Somerset United. What exactly is Somerset United?
It's a newly formed nonprofit that all the monies raised is gonna go back into fixing up the village, whether it's streetlights, signage, whatever the board.
So you have a president, a vice president, a treasurer?
Yeah, right now on the board, it's myself, Caleb, Cherie Link from My Happy Place, Scott Hare from Pizza Planet, Nikki Jokey, Shyla Williamson, and Bart Palmer from the Lions.
So you guys have a 501c?
It's about done. It's probably done today or tomorrow.
So don't you have to have 6 months on a 501c before you can apply it to a permit?
We're gonna ask to have that be waived.
How can we waive that? They just changed the rules for us?
It's not that difficult.
Has this been brought before Paul? Paul heard about this?
It can.
Yeah, definitely should. Who's covering the insurance?
Somerset United.
So you'll have insurance requirement waived, or you'll have proof of insurance?
We'll have proof of insurance.
So this isn't ready to be approved then?
Be the same
Well, it can be
thing.
approved no different than we did with the Lions, right?
I have reservations about the open containers. I think Somerset has a drinking problem. And I don't think we need to be drinking at everything we do and on a Thursday night. Is this for family stuff or is this is a family event, right?
Yes, and at River Falls, I'm modeling everything after River Falls, Market Fest in White Bear Lake, the car show in North St. Paul, and they'll do the same
It's
thing.
fine. They're not Somerset though, you know? Okay. So you don't have a 501c, so we won't be able to apply that for this permit by the next meeting.
It'll be done, if it's probably already done today. Max Nyhouse, is, he said it would take a week and that was last week, so I would assume he's either done with it or in the next day or two.
Okay, so how can you apply for a permit before you have any of that?
Same thing, it'll be, just have to prove it before the event. Same as the Lions Club, Brandon, it's not difficult.
Okay,
Is this part of the farmer's market
Yes,
also? So
Yep.
the farmer's market is in that lot,
yes.
right? And then shutting down traffic so that people can use the
Walk
street.
in and my happy place, they'll have vendors across the street on their side of the road. Rendezvous is gonna have, like a tent and, sell food and stuff out in there, so that way people can just walk back and forth across the street. And we did it, for Santa on Main, and it works really well. The chief is 100% for it.
Santa is a different thing. I think if we're going to do anything like that, we just need to make sure that got all our legal Ts and Is, Ts crossed and Is dotted. So if this organization forming it, and I would put any kind of approval on that it'd have to be run by village council to make sure that that we're approving things legitimately. So I'll make a motion to approve it, subject to approval by our village council. And if they see no issues outstanding with the permit being issued, as long as it meets the insurance criteria that we do with the lines and everything else, that's my motion for a recommendation.
you're on the board of Somerset United? You're on the board of Somerset United?
Yes,
So can people who are on the board of Somerset United vote on that?
it's a nonprofit, so there's no conflict of
That'd be
interest. for them.
It'd be a question of legal, the village attorney, right?
Financial
Correct.
conflict of interest, but there could be a conflict because it's something that you are putting forth. There's a variety of conflicts of interest in situations.
Should we ask our attorney?
Yeah, and I already ran it by the attorney and he was fine with it. We
Do you
just
have it
need
in
a-
writing, Mike?
I have an email from him,
Can
yeah.
you please send me that?
I think I got a motion on the floor here. I don't know if it's gonna get a second or not, but it's already 10 after, almost 10 after.
I'll second it to go to the board approval.
Pending green light from village attorney, right?
Yep,
Okay. A motion made and seconded to approve the street use permit for Somerset United pending village attorney approval. Any discussion?
I think we should also add the 501c being formed as well.
That's why I said with the village attorney, because we're not gonna give a permit to somebody if it's not legal.
Okay, perfect.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item 6. Does anybody have anything to say about the reports, or I've kind of reviewed them?
have any questions? Brandon Crone, motion to approve items 6A through F.
Second, Caleb Garn.
Motion made and seconded to approve items 6A through 6F. Do you want to encompass the park bills as well in that too, or?
Reference, that's just informational, item 6.
Oh, that's just, it's just nothing to approve.
That just reflects this.
Okay, all right.
Ask questions.
I was just looking for questions. That's why I was saying we want to go right to 7. If you guys are okay with the department reports, they've been sent out. I've reviewed them. I think we've covered a lot of things here today. So
Yep.
Seven
I'm good.
is,
I'll extend that motion to also include 7 and approve public works, water, sewer, and park bills.
I'll extend my second.
appreciate that. Motion made and seconded to approve the reports and approve the bills. Any discussion? Hearing none? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay? Motion carried. Future agenda items, I think we got a full table. Is there anything else that anybody wants to incur on future agenda items?
Just pay at 10 for the board meeting.
Did you want to have that on the agenda item for next month, or do you want to put that on we're talking for the board meeting, right?
Yeah, just for the board meeting. I just wanted to make sure it was noted.
Okay. Here, there's no further business. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Brandon Crone, second.
Motion made, second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned at 8:11 on my clock.
Oh, 7-11.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, Danny.